You don't lack talent, intelligence, or even motivation. What you actually lack is discipline, and that's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," "I'm not in the mood," or "I'll do it when motivation comes," you're not being lazy, you're being untrained. Discipline isn't a superpower reserved for monks, athletes, or successful people. It's a skill, and like any skill, it can be built or completely neglected. In this video, there will be no fake motivation, no feel-good quotes, and no emotional hype. We're breaking discipline down scientifically, practically, and brutally honestly, so you stop depending on feelings and start controlling your actions. If you're tired of starting and quitting, tired of knowing exactly what to do but still not doing it, then watch this till the end, because this system might be the thing that finally fixes your discipline for real. Discipline is not motivation, it's a system. Let's kill the biggest myth first. Discipline is not about feeling motivated. Motivation is emotional, random, and unreliable. One good reel, one bad comment, and motivation vanishes. Discipline doesn't care about mood. It runs on systems. If you're waiting to feel like working, congrats, you've already lost. High performers don't ask, "Do I feel like it?" They ask, "What's the system I follow today?" Scientifically speaking, your brain is lazy by design. It's wired to save energy, avoid discomfort, and chase instant dopamine. That's not a personality flaw, it's biology. Discipline means designing your environment so your brain has no option but to do the right thing. Less thinking, more executing. If your system requires willpower every day, it's a trash system. Think of discipline like brushing your teeth. You don't debate it daily. You don't need hype music. You just do it because the system is locked. Same logic applies to studying, gym, content creation, or learning skills. When actions are automatic, discipline becomes invisible, but powerful. So stop romanticizing discipline as some heroic struggle. Real discipline is boring, repetitive, and mechanical. And that's exactly why it works. In the next part, we'll break down why relying on willpower is scientifically dumb, and how to replace it with something smarter. Willpower is weak, environment is king. Here's a hard truth backed by neuroscience. Willpower is a limited resource. Studies show it drains throughout the day, just like battery percentage. That's why people start strong in the morning and collapse by night. Junk food, doom scrolling, "I'll start tomorrow" syndrome. If your discipline depends on willpower, it will die by evening. No exceptions. Now flip the game. Instead of fighting your brain, outsmart it. Your environment controls your behavior more than your intentions ever will. If your phone is on your desk, you'll touch it. If junk food is in your house, you'll eat it. If distractions are visible, your brain will choose the easiest dopamine. Discipline starts with removing friction from good habits and adding friction to bad ones. This is why serious people redesign their surroundings. Phone in another room, notifications off, study materials already open, gym clothes laid out before sleeping. These aren't productivity hacks. They're behavioral engineering. You're basically hacking your future self, because you already know that future you is lazy. Stop blaming yourself for lack of discipline when your environment is set up for failure. Fix the room, fix the system, and discipline follows automatically. In the next part, we'll talk about identity. Why people who say, "I'm trying," rarely succeed, and people who say, "I am," usually do. Discipline is an identity, not an effort. Most people fail because they operate from temporary effort, not permanent identity. They say things like, "I'm trying to wake up early," or "I'm trying to be consistent." That language itself signals uncertainty. Your brain listens to how you label yourself. If you see discipline as something you do sometimes, it'll never stick. Here's the switch. Disciplined people don't rely on motivation. They rely on identity-based behavior. They don't ask, "Should I work today?" They think, "I'm the kind of person who shows up daily." Identity creates automatic discipline because acting otherwise would feel inconsistent, almost uncomfortable. Your brain hates inconsistency more than it hates hard work. This is pure psychology. Once an action aligns with identity, resistance drops. A person who identifies as a non-smoker doesn't fight cigarettes every day, they simply don't smoke. Same with a disciplined person. They don't force routines, they protect who they are. Discipline stops being a task and starts being self-respect. So instead of setting goals like, I'll study for 2 hours, reframe it as, I am a person who studies daily, no matter what. Small shift, massive impact. Next, we'll break down how to start discipline so small that failure becomes almost impossible. Start so small that failure feels stupid. One of the biggest reasons discipline collapses is ego. People set goals that look impressive instead of goals that are sustainable. I'll wake up at 5 a.m., study 6 hours, hit the gym, meditate, and read 50 pages. Sounds cool. Lasts 2 days. Then burnout hits, and discipline gets blamed, when the real problem was unrealistic planning. Your brain builds habits through consistency, not intensity. Scientifically, neural pathways strengthen when an action is repeated frequently with low resistance. That means doing something tiny every day beats doing something massive once a week. Discipline grows like compound interest, slow at first, then unstoppable. So make the habit laughably small. 1 page, 5 push-ups, 10 minutes of focused work. No drama, no hype. The goal isn't productivity, the goal is showing up daily. Once showing up becomes automatic, scaling up is easy. But if showing up itself is painful, you're done before you begin. Remember, discipline is trained, not discovered. You don't wake up disciplined, you build it brick by brick. In the next part, we'll talk about why tracking progress is non-negotiable and how data beats emotions every time. What gets measured gets disciplined. Your brain is terrible at judging progress emotionally. One bad day feels like total failure. One good day feels like, I'm fixed. That's why emotions are unreliable for discipline. Data doesn't lie. When you track something, it becomes real, visible, and harder to ignore. This is why disciplined people track, because numbers don't care about excuses. Tracking creates psychological pressure in a good way. When you see a streak, your brain doesn't want to break it. This is called the commitment and consistency principle. Even a simple checkbox or calendar mark can push you to act when motivation is zero. You're not working for pleasure, you're protecting the streak. And no, tracking doesn't have to be fancy. A notebook, a Google Sheet, a wall calendar. One rule: binary tracking. Done or not done. No, kind of. No, almost. Discipline thrives on clarity, not complexity. Either you showed up or you didn't. Once you start seeing discipline as data, emotions lose control. You stop overthinking and start executing. In the next part, we'll talk about pain, why discipline always involves discomfort, and how to train your brain to stop avoiding it. Discipline means making peace with discomfort. Let's be brutally honest, if you're trying to build discipline while avoiding discomfort, you're living in delusion. Discipline literally starts where comfort ends. Your brain is programmed to avoid pain and chase ease. Discipline is you saying, I know this is uncomfortable, and I'm doing it anyway. Not because it's fun, because it's necessary. Neuroscience backs this up. Every time you avoid discomfort, your brain reinforces the avoidance loop. Every time you face it, the fear response weakens. Discomfort doesn't grow, it shrinks with exposure. The first time is hard. The 10th time is normal. The 100th time feels weirdly easy. That's not motivation, that's conditioning. Most people wait for discomfort to disappear before acting. Disciplined people act despite discomfort. That's the only difference. They don't see resistance as a stop sign, they see it as confirmation that they're doing something meaningful. If it's uncomfortable, it's probably useful. So stop asking, how do I feel? Start asking, what needs to be done even if I don't like it? In the next part, we'll talk about consistency. Why missing one day isn't a problem, but missing twice is deadly. Never miss twice. That's the real rule. Perfection is fake. Consistency is real. Disciplined people don't show up perfectly. They show up reliably. Missing one day doesn't destroy discipline. Life happens. Energy drops. Things go wrong. The real danger is missing twice, because that's when a lapse turns into a new habit. This is backed by behavioral psychology. One miss is an accident. 2 misses start a pattern. Your brain quickly normalizes whatever you repeat. If you skip today and also skip tomorrow, the brain updates the rule. Oh, we don't really do this anymore. That's how discipline silently dies. So the rule is simple and non-negotiable. Miss once, recover immediately. No guilt spiral. No, I already failed. Guilt is useless. Recovery is power. The fastest way back to discipline is action, not self-criticism. This mindset keeps discipline resilient instead of fragile. You stop chasing perfect streaks and start building long-term reliability. In the next part, we'll expose a dangerous trap, rewarding yourself too early, and how it kills discipline without you realizing it. Stop rewarding yourself for bare minimum. One of the most underrated discipline killers is premature reward. People do one decent day of work and then celebrate like they won a Nobel Prize. Cheat meals, binge watching, I deserve a break mindset. That instantly trains your brain to associate minimal effort with maximum reward. From a behavioral standpoint, that's self-sabotage. Your brain learns through reinforcement. If small effort gets big pleasure, why would it push harder next time? Disciplined people delay rewards. They don't remove pleasure forever, they earn it properly. Reward comes after consistency, not after mood-based effort. There's a smarter way. Let progress be the reward. Feeling stronger, sharper, more confident, that's real dopamine. Artificial rewards weaken discipline, internal progress strengthens it. When discipline becomes its own payoff, you stop negotiating with yourself. This doesn't mean you live like a monk. It means rewards follow systems, not emotions. In the next part, we'll talk about long-term vision, why discipline collapses when there's no clear why, and how to build one that survives bad days. Discipline dies without a clear why. Discipline without purpose is just suffering with no direction. You can force yourself for a few days, maybe weeks, but eventually your brain will ask a brutal question. Why am I even doing this? If you don't have a clear answer, discipline collapses. Not because you're weak, but because humans are meaning-driven machines. Your why must be practical, personal, and non-romantic. Not vague lines like, I want to be successful, or, I want to be better. That's motivational poster nonsense. A real why sounds like, I don't want to be broke at 30, I refuse to be average, or, I want freedom over my time. Pain-driven clarity beats fake positivity every time. From a cognitive science angle, purpose activates long-term thinking in the brain. When the future matters, short-term comfort loses power. That's why disciplined people think in decades, not days. They zoom out. Temporary discomfort becomes insignificant compared to long-term outcomes. Write your why. Read it on low days. Update it when needed, but never operate without it. In the final part, we'll tie everything together and talk about discipline as a lifestyle, not a phase. Discipline is a lifestyle, not a 30-day challenge. Here's the final truth. Discipline is not a sprint, not a challenge, not a grind phase. It's a lifestyle choice. The moment you think, I'll do this for 30 days and then relax, you've already planned your own relapse. Discipline works only when it's integrated into how you live, not when it's treated like punishment. Real discipline is quiet. No announcements. No social validation. No constant self-talk. You wake up, do what needs to be done, and move on. Over time, this compounds into confidence, skill, money, and freedom. People then call it luck or talent, but you'll know the truth. It was boring consistency. And understand this clearly. Discipline doesn't restrict your life, it buys you control. Control over your time. Control over your habits. Control over your future. Undisciplined living feels free in the moment but becomes a prison later. Disciplined living feels hard now but creates freedom later. Choose wisely. So don't ask, how do I build discipline? Ask, what kind of person do I refuse to be? Then act accordingly, every single day. No drama, no excuses. Just systems, identity, and execution. Discipline isn't something you find one day or magically unlock. It's something you practice daily, even when nothing feels exciting. There will be days when you're tired, bored, unmotivated, or frustrated, and those are exactly the days that matter the most. Motivation comes and goes, emotions fluctuate, but discipline stays when systems are in place. If you apply even one idea from this video consistently, your life will start changing in ways most people never experience, not overnight, but permanently. So stop waiting for the perfect mood or the right time. Decide who you want to be, build systems that support that identity, and show up every day without negotiating with yourself. That's not hustle culture, that's control. And once you have control, everything else becomes optional.